And I'll join plump. And repeat after me. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. Keeping the palms joined. Palms down. Nice to see you all. Thank you for showing up. Anyone here for the first time? Those of you here, what brings you here for the first time? All three of you? Yeah.
I watch you online a lot.
Am I taller online?
Because it's on a big shape.
I know. Right? Oh, really? So I'm really tall. That's great.
So I thought you were like 7 feet.
7 feet. When you're a short guy, you know short jokes before like 3 minutes before they even happen. Sorry, go ahead. Back to you.
But this is the first time we're scheduled a lot of us to
Nice.
come.
Yeah.
Really happy.
How what have you learned online? I mean,
I think we've been watching your videos for about 6 months or
Okay.
more. So
Yeah.
a lot.
a lot. Yeah. You speak for all of you? The spokesperson? The spokesperson. Yeah, nice. Right on. Well, we're glad you're here. Thanks for showing up. What else? Anyone else here for the first time? Those of you who keep coming back, why do you show up? Yeah.
You're funny.
I'm funny. I try to be. Yeah. I think humor is important. You've heard me talk about that, you know. Especially, when there's so much to not laugh about. You got to find something to laugh about. And I think laughing itself has always been a healthy thing also. What else? Why show up? Yeah.
I need to hear things over and over to get through my skull, because otherwise I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's a repetition.
Right? I say this every time in response to that comment, which is that's why I do this. Because when I share the teachings of the Buddha, I'm just talking to myself. And most people don't believe me when I say that, and that's your problem, not mine. But I'm just talking to myself. Everything I share is what I'm working on. I don't know how to do most of it. Yeah. So you just keep sharing it over and over and over again, and slowly things start to shift. But yeah. What else? Why show up? Those of you, yeah. Go ahead.
Just came to learn about the teachings and how to apply them.
Yeah.
And just live it.
Yeah.
Just live it.
It's hard, though. Yeah.
I'm interested in the teachings on suffering so I can see what everybody else is going through.
Yeah. Because you have none.
I don't do it.
Yeah. Isn't it nice to not suffer at all?
It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. It's good to know somebody figured it out. There's hope for us suffering folks. Yeah.
Follow me, man.
Yeah.
So I first started showing up because my life is a complete mess. It still is, but it makes it tolerable.
Yeah. It makes a mess of a life tolerable. And not for everybody, for many people that's what's going on. Our life is, a mess, chaotic, hectic, whatever it might be. And, learning to tolerate that really is kind of the, again, I never like to use progress or things like stages, but I really do think at that stage, that's the first step is, can I tolerate my life? That's an absolute mess. because you have to start there. If you don't learn to tolerate it, you're never going to face it. And you're going to keep running from it, escaping from it, looking for something else to fix it. And when you do all of that, your life that's an absolute mess, believe it or not, becomes even more of a mess, right? So it's like, just can I come back to being okay with my life as a mess? That to me is the foundation. And then you build from there. You know, then it just takes, I always tell people, you just got to keep showing up. And I don't just mean, you know, here, but showing up in your life with these teachings, with this practice, showing up for yourself, taking care of your heart and mind daily with a meditation practice, even if it's 2 minutes, but just keep showing up every day, working every day, trying to get a little kinder towards self and others, a little more forgiving towards self and others, a little less angry towards self and others. And if we can kind of build on that, then slowly become less of a mess, you know? Yeah. What else? Anything anyone want to share before we start? Yeah.
Yeah, just to be in community.
Mm-hmm.
It's helpful to me to keep the practice going.
Yeah.
If I am, at least some of the time that I'm meditating, I'm doing that in community.
Yeah. The reminder, the inspiration. Yeah, definitely.
It's definitely my lifeline back to clarity.
Say that again,
The lifeline back to clarity.
oh, clarity. Yeah.
Clarity, because even at home, the practice gets messy. You're influenced by your environment. It's not always pristine
Mm-hmm.
and simple.
Yeah.
But here, you guys hold the base, you know, the standard, and I can always come back and refresh my face with clarity.
Yeah.
So I appreciate your solitude. You're
Yeah.
solid, very solid man.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, I think, you know, I mean, you look at the history of Buddhism, and that's why temples were created. They were created, viharas, they were created as sacred, safe spaces to come to find a sense of peace and clarity. And then ultimately, as you know, work on bringing that into other areas of our lives, because, you know, it gets crazy out there for sure. So, all right, so we'll start with the meditation practice. To those who are joining virtually, welcome. Glad you're here. Those who after 6 months finally decided to show up. What made you after 6 months say today's the day? Scheduling, that was it. Really, in 6 months, the three of you couldn't find Saturday? Well, I'm glad you made it. To those virtual, glad you're here as well. Feel free to say hello if you have any questions. When we get there, you can put them in the chat box. But we'll start with the meditation practice. A couple things to tell you before we begin. Nothing's going to happen to you. You're not going to float away. You're not going to have any mystical, magical experiences. The mind that races all day long is not going to shut off. Don't judge your practice, meaning don't ask yourself, is this working or not working? Are you doing it right or wrong? We're just going to sit. We're going to breathe. You'll hear sounds inside the room, sounds outside. This is life. Life is filled with chaos. And this practice is learning to get quiet and still within all of the chaos. Posture, you just want to be comfortable if you are on a cushion. Often it helps slide into the front third, pushing the stomach forward. Allows the back to straighten, shoulders are relaxed. Hands are on the knees or lap, whatever's comfortable. Most important, don't expect anything from this practice. You're not going to shut your mind off. It won't stop racing. You're not going to think nothing. Your mind will race. I'll say things periodically to remind you that you're lost in thought and bring you back to present moment, or simply wake you up. I'll guide us as we begin, and we'll settle into a little bit of silence. And starting with the eyes closed if comfortable, or slightly open. Mouth is open or closed. We'll start with taking 3 deep breaths, slowly. Eventually, settle into a natural rhythm of the breath. Noticing the mind as it wanders, jumping from thought to thought. Start with gently guiding the attention, focus to the stomach or chest. Breathing in, feel them rise. Breathing out, they fall. Simply continue this practice, observing sensation of breath. Expecting nothing but to sit and breathe. As the mind wanders, lost in thought, recognize it. Release that thought. Return attention, focus to the breath. Breathing in. Follow breath in. Breathing out. Follow breath out. Letting go of expectations. Letting go of judgments from your practice. Just sitting, breathing. Learning to be comfortable in stillness, in quiet, just sitting, breathing. And with the body still, rested, and the speech quiet, aware of all sounds, and the mind learning to settle, know what it's like to just sit and breathe. Knowing with each breath, there's nothing else to do. Nowhere else to go. And no one else to practice non-self. Because your question 100% from a Buddhist lens is about self. You have a story about you that you've told yourself. And you have tried to protect that self for years, for a long time. And so the practice is to abandon that story. All you're trying to protect is the person that you think was shattered and crushed and destroyed and devastated and had everything taken from you and was treated poorly. And I'm not dismissing that. We always want to honor those experiences. But if you can just wake up and say, this is my life now. That is not me. But you think that's you. And so you're potentially still stuck in trying to protect that person that you think is you. And so therefore you're still pissed off and angry. Did you wake up today?
Yeah.
Did you have food to eat today?
Yeah, I actually had a great morning.
Great morning, right? Beautiful. Can you just be the person that had a great morning? And this is what practice is. This is what meditation is. When they talk about being present, it's not about like, I'm just going to forget the world and I'm just going to stay in this present moment, because there is no, the present moment is gone, every single present moment. But the practice is to, you had a great morning. That's all you are. You're not even that. It wasn't even you, and it's not even a morning. You is a construct. Morning is a construct based on this time, which is an absolute illusion. You just had experiences. But for some reason, we choose to focus on years of experiences that were miserable. And so then we want to fix and heal and change and correct and defend those stories. But if your story is, I'm just someone who had a great morning, do you have any anger and rage from this morning?
No.
No. So experience each moment as it arises. And some of those moments will be unpleasant. And that's where the anger and rage will come in. And this is where we practice Buddhist teachings of impermanence. Maybe you had anger and rage yesterday, but you woke up this morning, you had what you called a good morning, therefore there wasn't anger and rage. Now it's, what time is it now? It's about 11:43. How long do you think it'll be until you have moments that now create anger and rage?
It won't be long.
Won't be long. We'll be out of here in 17 minutes, so I'll give you 18, right? So the question is, can you just come back to being this person that's not filled with years of anger and rage? Just a person that had one bad moment. Because whatever you're carrying around with you that cultivated that anger and rage, probably rightfully so. When did that happen? Years ago. But one little spark, and all of a sudden now you're the person who had years of anger and rage. As opposed to the one little spark, the person that cut you off in the freeway is not the person that ruined your life 30 years ago. I'm just making stuff up. That's just one moment. But that one moment immediately sparks a fire. Each little moment is just temporary. It's impermanent. It will change. So try to experience each moment as they arise and as they fall. And what do we do with the breath when we're doing a meditation? Experience the breath as it rises and as it falls. Our entire life is a meditation practice, experiencing it as it arises and as it falls. That's life. Life arises, life falls. Moments arise, moments fall. Experience rise, experiences fall. And then we die. That's it. Game over. I mean, from the Buddhist lens, it's not over and there's no game, but so it's the practice of just trying to stay present. What else? Yeah.
My goal is to awaken,
Okay.
and the reason is because I want to see.
You want to what?
I want to see.
Okay.
I want to see more, and you know, I just want to know what are the resources I can use through a book or a website or anything that'll help me get there, because all I have is conceptualization of the idea, but I have no experience in it. And I came here in part to learn about awakening. And I just need to know where to look.
A mirror. So the question for those who didn't hear it is, you want to awaken because, as you said, you want to be able to see. You want to have knowledge, and so you need to know whether to turn to a book or what resources so you can awaken. The only way to awaken is to get to know yourself. That's it. A website won't get you there. A book won't get you there. I'll give you websites and books in a minute just to satisfy your question, but a book will not get you there. A website will not get you there. A place will not get you there. I'll talk about, hang on. Oh, go ahead.
Well, can I start with asking myself, why do I do these things that I do?
That's a start. Yeah. So he said, can I start with asking myself, why do I do these things that I do? Yeah, because you're suffering. You're struggling. Nobody wants to awaken and see reality. I want to touch specifically on your awakening comment and trying to see reality in a minute. But most people don't come to the place like this, practice like this, and ask these questions unless they are suffering, right? Sure, some people are just bored and have nothing else to do, like Fight Club style, just going to meetings. But really, you're suffering. And so, but let me come back to awaken, because I think this is super important. You're how new to Buddhism?
Very new.
Like, how new? Just give me a time.
I've known about it since I was in college, but
Okay.
I never took the path.
And so how long have you like actually started reading and meditating consistently?
It's been since college.
Really?
Over 20 years,
So for 20 years, you've been meditating every day and studying Buddhism.
just learning about it, not
Okay, I'm not judging you, like,
I read one book.
so you've read one book on Buddhism. Okay. So what I'm getting at is anytime anyone is either new to Buddhism or been at it for 50 years, if you set enlightenment as your goal, like you said, I want to awaken, right? I want to be enlightened. Never going to get there. Hate to shatter your hopes and dreams, right? But don't set enlightenment or awakening as a goal. We're very conditioned to think we have to like get somewhere, right? The Buddhist teachings is that we are all already awakened. It's actually interesting because the example I'm going to give really ties into your second question, which is around clarity. You want clarity because you want to see things as they are. We always see things as they are. We only see things as they are. How we experience them is different. But let me give you the example of kind of this, we're all already awakened as the Buddha taught. So think about the sun. I don't know if you've heard me give this example, but on a cloudy day, is there a sun?
Yes.
Can you see it?
No.
No, why not?
Is it blocking?
Blocking by what?
The cloud.
By the clouds, but the sun is there, okay? The practice is not to have the sun shine brighter, meaning bodhicitta, which is called Buddha nature, the enlightened being that we are all, is already in you. Your sun doesn't need to shine brighter. What do you have to do to see the sun? You got to move what? Clouds. Your clouds, according to Buddhist teachings, are what's called the three poisons. The second noble truth, the cause of our suffering: greed, craving, right? Anger, and ignorance. That's it. When these clouds part, the bodhicitta that's within us arises. So the practice, very simply, feel free to read as many books as you want, look at as many websites you want, and many resources as you want. But I will tell you from my experience, there are only 3 things you need to focus on for the next 5 years of your life. And I mean that very seriously. Tell me your name again.
Gabriel?
Gabriel. You need to recognize, Gabriel, your levels of craving, greed, desire, when you want more. Can you do that every day? And just watch, like, wow, I really want more. The second thing is to recognize your anger when it arises. And the third thing is to recognize your ignorance, meaning you're stuck in your perception. Because even this craving and desire to want to know Buddhism is like this concrete fixed thing that we want to know. All Buddhism is doing is helping you come back to what is Gabriel. And ultimately, as I said to Brad, it's just an illusion. You have a story about Gabriel that says you're some unenlightened, unhappy person. And you want to see things as they really are. If you want to see things as they really are, start by stopping seeing yourself how you're not. Experience moment to moment levels of greed, levels of anger, levels of ignorance. And to overcome greed, anger, ignorance, the 3 poisons, we practice generosity. Give people time, attention, a heart, a smile, a hug, including to yourself. Right? Second thing to overcome anger is practice compassion, loving kindness towards self and others. Just go help people. When people make you angry, smile. Understand their suffering. And the third thing is ignorance. For me, it's not about you overcome wisdom with the practice of overcoming ignorance is with wisdom. But for me, the practice of wisdom is not about how do I attain, which is really to me what your question is, like how do I get there? To me, it's not about attaining some, extreme level of wisdom. To me, it's about recognizing, do you know when you do things that are kind of dumb? Always. Right on. See, you're wise already. You're a lot wiser than you give yourself credit for. So when you recognize you do things that are dumb, harmful, painful to self and others, do those less. If you do less harmful things to self and others, that by default is greater wisdom. So practice generosity, compassion, wisdom every day for the next 5 years. Stop trying to see things ultimately as they are, because we will never see them as they are. We will always see things as we perceive them, right? Everybody looks at everything differently. Don't worry about seeing ultimate reality, ultimate truth, as the Buddha called it. Understand that what you see is not ultimate truth, and that starts with your sense of self. And for so many people, it starts with this identity that they've given themselves, and they think they're not good enough, they're not, this enough, they're not that enough. And all suffering comes from that attachment to self that says, I am not this enough. And then we take that into the world, and we project that onto everybody else. We make everybody else feel miserable because we feel we're not enough. Abandon that view. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Polly Cannon, you can Google access to insight. Actually change it now. It's access to insight will get you there. But access to insight has the entire body of the Pali Canon, the original, first teachings of the Buddha, and you could read that for the next 30 years, and that still won't get you there. Getting to know you that is not you will get you there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. What else? Yeah.
I'm editing myself very carefully here.
Okay.
I'm not being funny. I'm leaving out details
Yeah.
because I don't want to offend somebody.
Yeah.
There's a lot of violence going on right now.
Yeah.
And it's going to get a lot worse.
Yeah.
A lot worse. And part of me is grieving my heart tremendously because innocent people are going to get killed and hurt.
Yeah.
It grieves me. But I'm ashamed to say it. Part of me is proud of it. Part of me is cheering it on.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how to resolve this conflict. I just don't. And I'm asking you,
Yeah.
both as someone who's had a very violent past,
Yeah.
and also from your interpretation of Buddhist teaching,
Mm-hmm.
what do I do to resolve this conflict? It's really hurting me.
Yeah. So the question is around, and as you said, and I appreciate you leaving out details, but your question for those virtually didn't hear it was that, you're editing your comments here, but a lot of violence right now, a lot of people being killed, a lot of innocent people being killed. You see it getting worse, it's going to get worse, you believe it's going to get worse. And your question is around some of it, you actually are glad, you didn't say glad, but you're happy that it's happening, and some of it you're not. And so you're really struggling with this, an internal conflict, and it's something that, the world is struggling with right now based on everybody's individual views. And I'll say this for those who've never heard me talk about this stuff, even though I know you know this, the two things we never talk about at the Dharma Bum Temple are religion and politics, because these are the things that divide everybody. So we do not talk religion in here, and we do not talk politics in here. We do, however, do not ignore the pain and suffering that each individual in this room and outside of this room experiences, as together collectively we experience the effect and impact and results of religion and politics on this world that have always been there and will always be there. So we're all experiencing it, and I have no problem discussing experiences that we have using Buddhist teachings. You're in from what you said, it starts with this really just massive state of kind of internal confusion and conflict. Again, I'm just kind of telling what you just said. And so I think for me, the first thing that comes to mind is the 6 Paramitas: generosity, morality, patience, diligence, concentration, wisdom. These are the practices on the Bodhisattva Path. The way to overcome suffering is to use these Paramitas in practice: generosity, morality, patience, diligence, concentration, wisdom. Some of them can be pulled, stronger at other points in time. And so the first one that comes to mind with this question is the practice of patience. And first and foremost is to be patient with yourself. And what I mean by that is there's nothing wrong with how you feel. It is absolutely okay to feel how you feel. This doesn't solve your problem. This doesn't make you any better. But understand that what you feel right now makes sense. You're not a terrible person for feeling that way. You're not a bad person for feeling that way. You're not a good person for feeling that way. You are observing your feelings and your emotions, and you're recognizing how difficult that is. And the practice of patience is saying to oneself, well, let me ask you this. You've been through tremendous pain and suffering in the past, right?
Yes.
And have you gotten through it?
Yes.
Yes. This will be the same thing. for you? Again, and I know this isn't the nature of your question, but again, for those who never heard me talk about this, my response is not how do we solve these issues that everybody's asking about and thinking about. Not my place, not my world, not my knowledge. I don't know. That's up to other people beyond my pay grade. My practice is to understand how do I resolve the suffering that's within me. And the suffering that's within me requires a tremendous amount of patience and understanding the teachings of impermanence, knowing that what you're feeling right now will change, it will fade, it will get stronger, it will get better, it will get worse. And you practice patience as you observe these emotions as they rise and fall. And they're going to continue to torture you. Absolutely. And if they didn't, that would be a little bit scary. If you were just, many people in the world sitting in a place of privilege, doesn't impact me. I got every privilege in the book, right? Male, white, heterosexual, able-bodied. I'm not afraid of anything. Why should I be? I come from no oppression, no marginalized communities. I get it all. And I'm Jewish. And we're the chosen people. As are you. Right? So it's understanding that we must look at these things and see how we suffer. And that's okay. This idea of, same thing, even back to your question, like this idea that Buddha taught to end suffering. Yeah, we want to end suffering, but it's not happening anytime soon. We are going to continue to suffer. The danger is if you try to fix quickly or sharply or, try to come to terms with what you're feeling. I think what you're feeling is, as sad as it sounds, is beautiful because that means your heart cares. And you're confused and you're scared and you're afraid and you're alone. And these are emotions. And there's nothing wrong with them. But the practice to come back to a meditation and concentration is to watch them and see them and be with them. And to not react quickly and harshly. And this isn't for you specifically, just to anybody. It's not to respond to every single social media post with a million thoughts. It's not to respond to everybody's comment with a million thoughts. It's not to respond to family members or friends who make one comment with a million thoughts. Can we sit with things? And when we engage, when we try to create change, when we work to make safer, healthier, better communities, are we coming from love and compassion, or are we coming from hatred and anger? As you know, there's no answer to that, to your questions and your thoughts, other than, yes, you're sitting with that and continue to sit with that. And things will get worse and they will get better. It has been that way for thousands of years, right? And if you are one, which you are, who has a beautiful heart and a mind that wants to make a difference, then how fortunate it is to be alive during this time, where you can make a positive difference in people's lives, where you can help people in little ways. Can we solve the major problems that everybody knows? But can you do little things each day to make a difference in your life and life of others? Absolutely. And when we do these things, it takes us out for the moment of that heaviness that we're all feeling. If we just shut down completely, we're doing nobody any good. Thank you. Yeah, for sure. There was a hand back there somewhere, yeah, and then we'll get towards the end here, we'll close. Yeah.
Last week you answered to someone, you talked about the middle path. Would you kind of explain that? Because I tend to go to one extreme to the other, like I go too far, then I overcompensate.
Yeah.
How do you get back to the middle where, so you don't have these conflict, tension, and because it's being pulled in the opposite direction at the same time?
Yeah, the question is around the middle path, and I love it because, and you said that you're kind of constantly living this world of extremes, right? And it's such a perfect question, and I'll kind of tease with you and not at you. You are obsessed with Buddhism.
Yeah, I'm very perfectionist.
Yes, I know.
And it can be like the same thing about like wanting to be more, but I think with the perfect balance.
Yes. No, it's great. So the middle path, let me I'll save the story, Life of the Buddha story, for another time. I want to respond to it differently this time. But the emaciated Buddha behind me is really the example of the middle path, because at that moment in his life, he was physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually near death, right? So he discovered the middle path, the balance. But the question on the middle path, very specifically, things you can do to practice, right? How many pairs of shoes do you have?
About 3 or 4, not a lot.
I know. I knew this wasn't going to work well with you. Carol, were you pointing to yourself?
No.
Oh, I thought you went like this. Who has a lot of shoes? How many shoes you got?
A lot.
A lot. Give me a number.
Tennis shoes?
No. How many shoes total?
I don't know, maybe 50
Over 50.
at least.
Right, at least 50. So we'll call it 80, right?
It's not that many.
So you got, all right, so we'll drop
It's
it down to
52.
52 pairs of shoes. Do you need all 52 pairs of shoes?
No.
No, definitely not. Could you survive on 26 pairs of shoes and your whole life would not change at all?
I only wear like 5.
Right, you only wear like 5, right? So 47 pairs of shoes you could get rid of and it would not alter your life at all.
Not even.
Who has lots of shirts? Gabriel? Let's do Justin. How many shirts? Gabriel? 10. That's it? You think that's a lot? Nice, great, beautiful. What's a good example? Everybody's middle path is different, right? So usually if people have a lot of Justin, how many shirts you got? It's more than 10.
Oh yeah, it's
Over 50.
like packed away in the closet.
Yeah, so you got 50 that are active, you got 75 in the closet, 100 in the rafters. Balance is important here, but there is no middle path as defined by the Buddha, meaning nobody can say what is your middle. It's defining, recognizing where you are out of balance. I like to use physical objects because it's simple. The shoes and the shirts are often things we just have so many of. So the practice would be if you have, 47 shoes that you can get rid of 47 of them and see if your life is just fine. Normally I just tell people to do half. If you got 50 pairs of shoes, you get rid of 25, your life won't change. But now 25 people have shoes that didn't have shoes before. Same thing with shirts, right? The reason I mentioned the attached Buddhist, I gave this practice years ago. Wonderful guy, Shmuel, he passed away many years ago, but I did this talk one Saturday about the shirts and all the stuff we have in our closet. And he got all, he was an obsessed, attached Buddhist, right? In a beautiful way, just like you are, because he wanted his life to change. He showed up like a few days later, walked in, Maggie and I were in the old Buddha for You, College Avenue. He walked in with 2 big trash bags of stuff. He lived like 40 minutes away. He walked in with 2 big trash bags of clothes. And I said, what is that? And he goes, it's all of the clothes I'm giving away because I listened to your talk and I'm getting rid of this stuff. I'm like, why are you giving it to me? I was like, I don't want your shit. That's what I said to him. And he looks at me. I can still see his face. And he's like, no, you have to take it. So why? And he said, my wife is in the car. And she was so mad at me for doing this. And I'm giving it to you and I can't take it back. And I said, well, here's your ultimate Buddhist practice. Non-attachment. You passed 50 goodwills on your way from like Poway to here. But you had to give it to your Buddhist place because you're attached to Buddhism. Buddhism is an extreme as well. Find where you are out of balance. See where you live in excess. See where you're starving yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, right? Your spiritual path and practice is on like overdrive right now.
Yes.
And it's actually going to have a negative impact on the people around you.
Because
Yes?
I negate my material side because I get too far on my spiritual side, and then my finances are getting messed.
Correct.
Because I neglect them because I'm too
Correct.
escaping and getting
Right. And then we start to judge other people who aren't as spiritual as we are. And we start to think family members aren't as enlightened as we are. And then we start to think that the stuff we have, without getting into it now, I wish I had all the money and stuff I had when I started this practice. Because I was like you, I thought I got to get rid of everything. That if I get rid of all my money and stuff, that means I'm a better Buddhist. That was stupid. You know how many temples we could have had by now? Stop getting rid of your stuff. Stop thinking you have to be some extreme anything. This is not an extreme practice. It's a balance, physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional. Apologize to the people you've judged for not being as spiritual as you are. Bring them back into your life. Stop getting rid of all your crap. just get rid of half of it. Find a balance. I'm going to close on that. We'll join palms. May the benefit of this practice be shared with all beings in all directions. May all beings be at peace. May all be free from suffering. May any merit gain be transferred to Pam during her time of suffering, and to Mark, who suffers at this time as well. All right, a few quick announcements. Thank you all for being here. My name is Jeff. I'm a Dharma Bum. We opened up this temple 18 years ago to introduce Buddhist practice to those who show up. Those of us who lead, we're not monks, nuns, gurus, masters. Michael, don't lead yet. Teachers or students. We're just practitioners doing our best to share our interpretation of the Buddhist practice. Every night we have different practices going on, different people from different Buddhist traditions. Every Thursday, 4:30, we do, I think, the best thing around here, food redistribution program. We prepare gourmet vegetarian meals and feed people asleep on the streets. So if your life sucks, go feed people sleeping on the street. It tends to put things into perspective. Couple things out of the ordinary. We are, or just out of our normal schedule, we are marching the Pride Parade as we have. So Saturday, July 20th. Go to the website. There's a flyer out there, but go to the website. You'll see a top right on the main menu. It'll say Pride Parade 2025. You can RSVP there. And then the Monday morning, we're going to help clean up Balboa Park the day after the Pride Festival. So if you want to get involved, you can help there. Today, right now, from 12 to 2, we'll be doing our monthly temple cleaning. Vicky, can you raise your hand? Vicky will be guiding, and Normal, I think, as well. We'll be guiding the temple clean we're doing monthly. So from now until 2, if you want to stick around for 30 minutes or an hour and a half or whatever, we could use the help. They'll be gathering you either outside or maybe in the back or downstairs, right there in the entry. Downstairs. And lastly, that's why I told you to don't leave yet. So Michael, Corey, Milena, where else are you? Meredith, Justin, David, can you all come up here real quick? Also not here is Wayne and Mark and Emily. But we have secretly, most of you don't know, we have secretly for the last roughly 3 months been leading a facilitator training program. And so we've been meeting with this group plus the other 3 twice a week, once here, and then we go downstairs for an hour after, and we actually replay all of your questions, just so you know. And I mean that very seriously. Not as a judgment, not as a critique, not to talk about you, but I just fire the same questions to them, and they practice answering. And we meet every Thursday night for an hour. All of them are leading, have led, or will continue to lead, whether it's here at the temple or in some outreach capacity. And so one of the things we look at as a Dharma Bum Temple is, yes, we have a lot of people who lead, but we need to get better at leading. And so we've been with this group for the last 3 months. We'll do one more month, and then they will run it. No, I'm just kidding. I was going to say they'll run everything around here. But I just want to thank them for committing so much of their time to, I mean, this has been 3 months, and unless literally somebody was like near death, they've all been here, or Bolivia, wherever you went, right? Where'd you go? Bulgaria, sorry. But I just want to thank this group for committing to being here and committing themselves to such a really intense practice of focusing on getting better at leading and facilitating all of our classes throughout the week. So this is part of the future in addition to everybody else that's been leading. So we will be doing another one, which is also part of why I introduced this. We'll take a few months off probably. We'll be doing another facilitator training program. So if you're interested in leading and doing stuff around the temple, let us know. You'll get something in the newsletter. But I just wanted to introduce them. And if you want to know, Gabriel, really, if you want to figure out how to awaken, talk to any one of these people. Thank you all, and be well.